All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're going to break down an absolutely classic story about a boy who becomes a total legend completely by accident. We're diving deep into chapter 1 of your English prose, A Hero. We'll be mastering the core concepts, the characters, and, honestly, the hilarious irony that's hidden all throughout this story. But before we get into the details, I want you to think about this question. Can you become a hero by complete accident? I mean, usually when we picture heroes, we think of incredible bravery, right? Someone charging fearlessly into danger. But what if I told you that sometimes heroism actually comes from a place of absolute shaking terror? So the whole thing kicks off on a seemingly ordinary evening. Swami's father is just sitting under the hall lamp reading the newspaper when he stumbles across this incredible report, and he reads it out loud to Swami. It's this wild story about a village lad on a jungle path who comes face to face with an actual tiger. The report says this boy fought it, fled up a tree, and literally stayed up there for half a day until help arrived. Father is super impressed. Swami listens, but, well, he is just not buying it at all. And this right here, this builds the core conflict of our entire chapter. It's a fundamental clash of worldviews between a father and a son. Swami thinks to himself, there's no way a boy could fight a tiger. To him, you need strength and you need age to be a hero. It's a simple equation. But his father completely disagrees. Father argues that courage and courage alone is the only variable that actually matters. Father captures his entire argument in this one crucial quote. He tells Swami, courage is everything. Strength and age are not important. He literally says a man could have the strength of an elephant and still be a coward. Swami, being a kid, naturally disputes this. And because he pushes back, Father issues a terrifying challenge. To prove his so-called courage, Swami must sleep alone tonight in Father's dark office room. Now pay close attention to the specific vocabulary the author uses here. When Swami asks what he could possibly do if a tiger actually attacked him, Father sneers at him. If you're not familiar, to sneer basically means to speak in a very unkind, almost mocking way. So Father isn't just telling Swami where to sleep, he's challenging his entire sense of self-worth. He's talking down to him. Which brings us to the harsh reality of Swami's situation. Up until now, Swami has had this absolute safe space. He sleeps right beside his granny in the passage, every single night. Father finds this completely disgraceful, essentially telling him, you're sleeping beside your granny like a baby. The sheer contrast between Father's rigid, macho expectations and Swami's cozy, comforting reality is exactly what makes this upcoming challenge so terrifying for him. So the dreaded night arrives. Father literally forces Swami into the dark office room, and we get this brilliant step-by-step psychological breakdown of a child's fear. First, as the silence in the room deepens, Swami's mind just starts racing with ghost stories. Then, step 2, all those normal ambient noises, like ticking clocks or humming insects, suddenly sound monstrous. And finally, step 3, the fear culminates in a horrific, completely paralyzing nightmare about a tiger. Let's talk about those ghost stories for a second, because the specific ghosts in Swami's head are actually quite funny to us as readers, even though they are absolutely terrifying to him. He thinks of his friend Mani's story about a banyan tree devil. He remembers the tale of Muni Swami's father, who supposedly spat blood after a river devil slapped him. He even recalls this wild rumor of a boy getting carried off to Siam or Nepal. Cut off from the rest of the house, Swami feels completely and utterly alone. The atmosphere the author creates here is just dripping with tension. As a tiny ray of streetlight strays into the room, casting these weird, eerie shadows on the wall, those normal night noises, the ticking clocks, the rustling trees, the humming insects, they mutate into monsters in the dark. Driven by absolute overwhelming fear, Swami does what pretty much any terrified kid would do. He crawls right under the wooden bench. Why? Because it feels safe. It's compact, it's reassuring, it's his makeshift little fortress against the darkness. And boom, this brings us to the climax. Hiding under that bench, tossing and turning with terrible nightmares, Swami suddenly feels something moving in the darkness. Thinking it's the devil coming to literally tear him to pieces, he acts on pure, unfiltered survival instinct. He crawls out, hugs the moving figure in the dark, and bites into it with all his might like a wild animal. But it wasn't a devil. Father and the servants hear the agonizing scream, they rush in, and they realize Swami has just bitten into the leg of the district's most notorious burglar. This entire ordeal for Swami was, in a word, frightful, meaning highly unpleasant or causing immense fear. And this is a really crucial point to understand. Swami didn't attack that burglar because he was feeling brave. Not at all. He attacked because his frightful experience pushed him into a sheer fight or flight panic. He bit the burglar out of pure desperation to survive what he thought was a ghost. But hey, the rest of the world doesn't know he was terrified. The very next day, Swami gets an absolute hero's welcome. His classmates shower him with congratulations and newfound respect. His teachers are patting him on the back. The headmaster even calls him a true scout. And the best part? The police actually invite him to join the police force when he grows up. The irony here is just beautiful. His internal, sheer terror has miraculously transformed into this glittering external reputation of immense bravery. Which brings us to the ultimate twist ending. Does Swami embrace his new life as a fearless warrior? Actually, absolutely not. The very next night, when Father comes looking for him to sleep in the office room again, Swami has already snuck right back to his spot beside his granny, fast asleep. Father finally throws his hands up in frustration, calling him a mollycoddle, and just gives up, and Swami, hiding quietly under his blanket listening to this, he is tremendously relieved. He doesn't want to be a hero. He just wants to be a kid. The mastermind behind this wonderfully relatable and ironic story is R.K. Narayan. He is without a doubt one of the greatest Indian English novelists. What's so incredible about him is his simple, unpretentious style. He sets his stories in this fictional South Indian town called Malgudi, and he perfectly captures the subtle humor, the irony, and the charm of everyday life. And of course, everyday kids, just like our reluctant hero, Swami. Okay, before we wrap this up, let's do a rapid-fire review to really lock down your conceptual mastery of this chapter. First up, what was the newspaper report actually about? Right, a village lad's bravery against a tiger. Second, why did that boy stay in the tree for half a day? He was waiting for someone to come and kill the tiger. Third, was Father's challenge just a joke? No way, it was a serious command to test Swami's courage. And finally, who did Swami end up biting? The notorious housebreaker. Now, I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to chew on. If you do a brave thing out of pure fear, are you still a hero? Think about it. Swami saved property, he caught a dangerous criminal, but he only did it because he thought he was fighting a literal ghost. So does intention matter, or do only the results count? Keep that in the back of your mind as you review this chapter. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep asking great questions, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Welcome to this exclusive explainer. Look, I am absolutely thrilled to be your guide today. We're going to completely dissect R.K. Narayan's classic chapter, A Hero. But listen up, we aren't just going to read it like a regular textbook. Oh no. We're going to look at it directly through the eyes of a veteran Karnataka SSLC board examiner. Because let's face it, if you want to know exactly where students lose their hard-earned marks and what evaluators are literally begging to see on your paper, well, you're in the exact right place. So let's dive right into this. Okay, here's our strategic roadmap for today. We'll quickly cover the exam blueprint, then move on to cracking 1-mark questions, 2-mark board targets, 3-mark heavyweights, and finally, we'll tackle the editing trap.
Let's start with Section 1, the exam blueprint.
So, evaluators, we don't just sit there, read your answers, and guess the score. We follow an incredibly strict rubric. Take a standard 2-mark question, for example. We actually split it. You get 1.5 marks for what we call comp or comprehension, and these are your factual value points. The remaining 0.5 marks? That's for X or expression, meaning your grammar, your spelling, and your sentence structure. The reality is, if you don't have those exact value points, honestly, the best grammar in the world is not going to save your score.
Moving right along to Section 2, cracking 1-mark questions.
Take a look at this one. This is an absolute favorite for the examiners, pulled straight from the 2021 board paper. The question asks, when Swami saw something moving towards him, and then it gives you 4 options. Now, under exam pressure, a lot of students just panic and walk right into our trap.
This brilliantly illustrates the most common student mistake. The trap is thinking Swami acted like a scared little boy, right? So students naturally pick, he cried out in fear. But wait, the official key demands that you recognize his desperate, aggressive action. He didn't run, he attacked, because he genuinely thought it was the devil.
He hugged it and used his teeth on it like a mortal weapon. Look, You need to lock this exact non-negotiable phrase into your brain right now. Write it down, highlight it, circle it. It is literally a golden ticket that applies to both your 1-mark multiple choice questions and those massive 3-mark descriptive questions.
All right, Section 3, 2-mark board targets. Let's look at a classic 2-mark question. It contrasts Swami's habit of sleeping safely beside his granny with his father's really stern challenge. The board loves asking this: why did Swami's father want him to sleep alone?
Now notice how the weak answer gets maybe half a mark because it's way too vague. But check out the topper response. It hits the exact 3 value points printed right on the evaluator's rubric. Number 1, father felt it was disgraceful sleeping beside granny like a baby. Number 2, he wanted him to learn courage. And number 3, he wanted him to not fear darkness. Hit those 3 specific points and you secure the full 1.5 marks for comprehension instantly.
And here's another super high-yield 2-mark target. If the paper asks how Swami was honored the next day, please, I am begging you, do not invent your own answers. Don't write something like, people cheered for him. Write down these 3 specific official bullet points. His classmates looked at him with respect, his teachers patted his back, and the headmaster called him a true scout. Boom, full marks. It's really that simple.
Okay, it's time for Section 4, 3-mark heavyweights.
Keep a very close eye on this scene. The most heavily weighted question from this entire chapter almost always revolves around Swami's dreadful, terrifying night completely alone in the dark office room.
The question will look something exactly like this. Describe Swami's dreadful experience when he was lying under the bench. Now, under exam pressure, students totally blank out on the sequence of events. But we're going to use a simple visualization trick to guarantee you grab all 3 marks without breaking a sweat.
Memorize this precise 4-step sequence. Picture it happening in your head like a movie. Step 1, he's racked with nightmares of a chasing tiger. Step 2, he wakes up lonely and touches the wooden leg of the bench, missing his granny. Step 3, he hears a rustling sound and sees a moving figure, which he assumes is the devil. And step 4, he hugs it and bites the burglar. If you follow this chronological sequence, you will effortlessly hit every single value point the evaluator is scanning your paper for.
And look at that. The mortal weapon keyword strikes again. Notice how our 1-mark keyword trick about using his teeth like a mortal weapon perfectly completes step 4 of this long descriptive answer. 1 memorized phrase, multiple guaranteed marks. That is how you play the game. Notice how the official evaluator's answer key strictly requires this exact chronological narrative. As examiners, we literally check for the nightmare, the rustling sound, the assumption of the devil, and the biting of the burglar. You provide that sequence, you get the 3 marks.
Finally, let's look at Section 5, the editing trap.
Look, examiners absolutely love pulling a sentence straight out of your textbook to test your editing skills. This specific question right here, pulled from official board materials, tests your ability to spot adverbial and conjunction errors using a sentence right out of a hero.
So here is the trap sentence. Swami got up, but crouched there. The fix is entirely structural. To get the 2 marks, simply change the adjective hurried to the adverb hurriedly, and swap out the contradictory conjunction but with and. So it becomes, Swami hurriedly got up and crouched there, instantly securing those 2 technical expression marks. Easy, right?
And that brings us to the conclusion, the irony of the hero. You know, the true brilliance of R.K. Narayan's story is that despite Swami's overnight fame and his total accidental heroism, he doesn't actually change at all. He goes right back to his old habits, safely tucked in next to his granny. His father just gives up and says, "Let him sleep where he likes, you are spoiling him." He's a hero to the world, but still just a scared little boy at home. It's a fantastic, ironic twist to keep in mind.
So, you now possess the exact blueprint of what the evaluators are looking for. You know the traps, you know the exact value points, and you know the chronological structures we demand. The question is, are you ready to think like an examiner and absolutely conquer your paper?
If you stick to these precise value points, avoid those sneaky mark traps, and remember to use your teeth like a mortal weapon, figuratively speaking, of course, you won't just pass this chapter, you'll completely crush it. But I want you to ask yourself this. If a single chapter holds this many predictable evaluator traps, how many marks are you unknowingly leaving on the table in the rest of your textbook? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Now get back to your blueprint and go hunt down those marks.